Hey, we are here today to put the spotlight on body composition and why it matters to how we move and how we function in daily life. So it's Peta, Sal, and Sue here from Strong Healthy Women. And let's get talking about body composition. So the first thing that I'm going to say is, in its simplest terms, it is the muscle, the bones, and the fat that we have based on a percentage in our body. And what fitness and health professionals use that for is to see what your internal health is functioning like. So it is just a different way of measuring how you're going. And so one of the things that I think is really important to be aware of, and I have actually had ladies who sometimes you look at them and they're very tiny and you think that they're super, super healthy, but their body composition, so their body fat, is a lot higher. And so I've seen ladies who are like 60 kilos and have had 48% body fat. And then I've seen ladies who are 90 kilos and had, 32% body fat. And when we actually calculated out, they both had the same amount of kilos in body fat in their body. So that old saying, don't judge the book by its cover, is really, really important here. Absolutely. So, Sel, do you want to share anything about body composition and, the impact that it has maybe had on you personally, or something that you've seen with some of the ladies in the Strong Healthy Women Fit Flex studio?
I will talk about me, okay? And this isn't being, vain or anything. But
No,
as you
let's.
know from our last chat that we had, I have been on my journey, plan and all that sort of stuff. And the thing that I've noticed with my body composition, it has changed over the years, and particularly this year, and particularly the last few months, it has changed. And where I have noticed it is around my middle, my stomach.
Yes.
And I know, as a personal trainer and, studying nutrition and all that sort of thing, I know the impact it can have on my heart, my lungs, my organs, in particular. Yeah. And you think about those things, oh, yeah, it's going to have an impact and I should do something about it and whatnot. But it's what gets you thinking, what is getting me thinking is my daily movements. Yes. So then I think about my body composition. Now, I'm going to share very deeply, ladies, that on Saturday I was putting my shoes on and the thought came into my head and it was, holy moly, my face is resting on my breasts because my stomach was pushing my breasts up because I'm leaning down trying to get my shoes on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my God, that's not good. And I'm a personal trainer, and so these are the struggles I'm going through at the moment.
Yeah.
But I know that that's where my body composition at the moment is. And I know I have to be very, very aware because it is going to have an impact on my heart. And there is a history of heart disease in our family. And it's going to have an impact on my lungs. And there's a history of lung disease in my family. So, yeah, I'm very aware about my body composition at the moment. And it's those daily movements that I'm doing that is making me
more aware of it. Yeah, more aware of it.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm really pleased that you said that, Sal, because I often hear that from the ladies as well too. They know that when their body composition has changed and their body fat has gone up, they actually say, oh, I can't do, for example, a crossbody mountain climber like I was doing a few months ago because, my nutrition has been out of the window basically. And so I need to actually, just get myself back into gear type of thing. So And I'm glad you mentioned that, Sal, because you know, we're all getting that little bit older, and what happens is, as we're aging, you know, being women, we're going to go through menopause. Menopause has a big impact on our body, and it changes. But in fact, you know, these things start to happen when we're in our 30s. And one study I recently read was as early as 20 now. Um, and so what happens is we start to have that decline in our muscle mass over the years, and it's declining at, you know, 3 to 8% every decade. And so what's happening is, if we're not doing something to, you know, maintain the muscle mass that we have, or to even try and build some of that muscle mass up, then what's going to happen is we are going to end up with more fat in our body than what we really want to have in our body. And so, and then when we hit menopause, you know, it just becomes so much worse. And, you know, the impact even on our pelvic floor muscles and the connective tissues and everything like that, that can decline by, you know, up to 50% when we're going through menopause. So, you know, and that's when we start to notice we're going to the bathroom a lot more as well, too. So there are so many things that are impacted by just this change in body composition that we can encounter as we're aging. Sue, you want to add anything in there?
Yeah, a couple of points which we might be able to expand on is that we can get a bit, we need to understand that we need to have some fat on our body, but
great.
then there's the other fat that is, it's called visceral fat, which is around our organs. And that's where Sal was talking about, you know, and you, Peta, about the health risks. And you can be, you know, slim and think that you're going okay, but you've got that visceral fat that's around the organs that is going to give you problems in the future. So that's, you know, we need to have, but the other side is we do need some fat on our bodies, you know, but making sure it's the right type. And the other thing is that there was a study in 2018 that showed if you don't sleep well, your bone density decreases, your muscle mass decreases, but your fat level increases. So again, sleep, it's not just about what you eat and exercising, but sleep have an effect as well. And that's where I have problems, because I'm not a good sleeper. I never have been, and I find it so difficult to get a good night's sleep. And, you know, that's something that I didn't even think about, that it could be affecting me in that way in terms of body composition.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of great things that you've said there, Sue. You know, sleep, I think, is the very foundational well-being move that we all need to hone in on, because if we don't sleep, it impacts everything else that we do. There was one study there that also showed that, you know, 5 days of 5 hours or less sleep automatically had us carrying, I think it was like 800 grams extra of fat. So it is amazing. And of course, what happens is, if we don't get sleep, then it means that we're more likely to make poorer choices throughout the day as well, too. So yes, sleep definitely has a massive impact. I think it's really important, though, to actually talk about, well, how do you actually measure body fat? And to actually see what this body composition is all about. So there's 3 primary ways to do this. There's the calipers. So, you know, they're just like little, think about tongs basically. And then what they do is they pinch the folds of your skin. And so based on that, they can do the calculation. And there's another way, which is called a body pods, which is where you actually, you know, lay in a big machine, and what it does is it scans, you know, your whole entire body. Now, I've personally had that done, and it was hard work, because seriously, I had to lay still for so long. So that was a little bit difficult. But what it does is it measures, you know, the fat, the muscle, the bone, and it can also help with bone density as well too. Because one of the things I think that's important is that if we're not maintaining that muscle, that has a direct correlation to the bones as well. And so it means that our bones are beginning to become weaker, and that's when you start to see that more women have osteoporosis as we're aging as well too. So that's a big thing. Now, the third way is one of these things. You can, I've got a very old box here. So they're just machines where what you do is you hold them, and it sends a little electrical current down your body. You don't feel it really. And then what it does is, yep, there's Cell's got another one over there. So they come in all shapes and sizes. And so what it does is it then measures, you know, that body composition for you and gives you that breakdown. These things are pretty good. You know, I've done a bit of an experiment and you know, went and had the body pod done and then had that done to see what the difference is. Some of the ladies also have had it done. And it also can have an impact if you've got, you know, big breasts, because, you know, there's a fair bit of fat going on in those breasts as well too. So, and there are other things like scales that you can jump on, and those scales will do it. But, you know, they're coming through the smallest part of your body as well too. So your ankles are usually that little bit smaller. So, you know, as long as you have some type of guideline, I think that's important. So, you know, us girls do become a little bit obsessed. I mean, it's a culture from, you know, growing up, I think, where we would jump on the scales. Just recently, I asked some of the ladies in our free community, women over 50, get active and healthy, you know, do you actually jump on the scales? And it just blew my mind how many of them are jumping on the scales every single day. Every single day. But it's not the only measurement. You know, our clothes will tell us what's going on. You know, one of these machines will tell us what's going on with our body composition. And I think personally, it's so much more important that we know what's going on inside from a body function perspective than what's going on outside. Would you agree with that, girls?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our movements tell us what's going on too.
Absolutely.
I will attest to that. Your movements are telling you what's going on. You know, you were talking about, you know, struggling with doing crossbody mountain climbers, one of our clients. You know, when we hit menopause and we're going through menopause and everything's changing in our body, I think sometimes we just accept it. Okay, well, it is what it is and I can't do anything about it. And most women that are going through menopause, where that body composition is changing, is around our middle.
Oh, totally.
Yes.
And we just accept it. And that's where being conscious and taking note of your daily movements, you know, putting your shoes on. How easy is it? How hard is it to put your shoes on? As I said before, you know, my chin's on my boobs. You know, how hard is that? Easy, hard? Are you comfortable with it? Are you hating it? It's those sort of movements. Getting in and out of the car, how comfortable are you doing that? And I think that's where, you know, not only the measures from a body fat machine or going to get testing and those sort of things, but those basic daily moves can give you some real insight too.
I think there's one really important thing that we haven't touched on there, Sal and Sue, is when you are carrying that extra little body fat, you know, you'll be noticing in those daily moves, but you'll also could be experiencing more aches and pains. Because if you think about it, if you're carrying more, you know, extra little bit of something around your joints, then what's going to be happening there is those joints are going to start to tell you that there's something there, and you will start to experience more aches and pains as well. And so there's that roll-on effect, isn't it? So that if we if we become aware of it, then we have that opportunity to go, okay, let me do something about it. And how do I go about doing something about it? Sue, have you got anything you want to jump in there?
Well, I was just thinking that there's so much tied up. It's like we talked about what body composition is, but there's so many things that can affect it. And for example, stress levels. There's so many things that will we don't realize that they're silently affecting our body composition. And you talked about putting on that weight around our tummy, which is what we usually do in menopause and beyond. And really, we've got to keep that down because of the risk of chronic disease. And, even just as you said, Peta, don't get on the scales every day because you might be carrying more fluid one day than that. You're not getting a realistic reading. You're better off getting a nice, an outfit that you maybe just fit into, and then you try that on, regularly, and your body will change shape as you're toning up and your muscles are, becoming leaner. So you'll lose centimeters, but you may not necessarily lose the weight off the scale. So you've got to be informed as to, what procedures you're using to keep your health in check. And I think that's just an important thing, that maybe the scales aren't always the right way to go.
Yeah, exactly. And you touched on that there with heart disease, girls, heart disease and just the impact. But it's all those other preventable diseases as well too, like, your diabetes, your high cholesterol, all of those things that can impact our life. And look, let's be honest, who wants to have to take pills every day of the week? So I'm a woman in my 60s and I'm not taking pills. And yet the average number of pills that someone in their 60s is taking is, I think from memory, something like 4, and then it just increases. My mum rattles when she walks, Paul rattles when he walks. They're taking so many pills. But it doesn't matter what type of medication it is, there will always be side effects of that as well. And so it's, which devil do you go with, basically, as opposed to trying to live your life as healthy as you possibly can. And it always comes down to those foundations that we're talking about. Let's get good quality sleep. Let's get our stress in check. Let's exercise every day. Well, not every day, but let's do some structured exercise, and particularly strength training is going to have that impact on body fat. We want to move more often rather than sitting. So, and I just did a whole topic on that last week in our group. And then we want to, eat real food, like just eat real food rather than, bringing it in out of a box. And then I think the other thing that gets missed is water. Like, how often does water get missed? So, we all get told to drink, 8 glasses of water or 2 liters of water. But there's an actual calculation that we go through. If you think about it, we're all different shapes and sizes. We all live in different parts of the world. And so it's 30 to 40 mils per kilo of body weight. And so if you do that calculation, you're getting a more accurate reading of, how much fluid your body actually needs to stay hydrated. And of course, we all know when we drink more, it flushes everything out of our body as well. You were going to jump in there, Sal, and say something?
I was going to jump in there because when you said, that we can prevent these diseases, preventable diseases, chronic diseases, change our body composition. And you said a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Now, I can probably guarantee 90% of people would go to food. When you've said healthy lifestyle, they equate that to healthy food. But food was the last thing that you mentioned. Your healthy lifestyle isn't just about the food you're putting in your body. As you said, it's your stress. You said stress, Sue. It's sleep. it's movement, water, you know, but I guarantee 90% of women just go straight to that food thing.
Yeah.
You know, and when you and I can tell you that you know, over the past, you know, 3 months or whatever, you know, my eating hasn't been good. But that's not to say that I'm sitting there just eating. I'm not eating properly. I might have one meal a day. I might have one meal in the morning, one at lunch, skip dinner. So I'm not eating properly. It's not that I'm eating a whole load of crap, excuse my language, but I'm not eating regularly, and which is equating to not eating properly. So my body doesn't know what the hell I'm doing.
No.
And combine that with stress and sleep and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because, you know, if it is something that we tend to do as we're aging. You know, we start to eat less food. We particularly start to eat less protein. You know, I look at my mum, you know, and what she eats and everything. And, you know, I can tell you now, it's not great. But I'm really pleased that you picked up on the fact that food matters. It does matter. But, you know, there is that so many studies out there that say the single solitary thing that we can do for ourselves to stay healthy is to exercise. And, you know, and I could quote all those studies and go through it all with you, but I'm just conscious today that we really just want you to, you know, just think about life and, you know, those traditional things that we've always done, and really start to listen more to our body and respond to how it's moving, and just thinking about how we feel. You know, fatigue is one of those things that could be also telling us that our body composition could be a little bit off as well too.
Yeah.
So, Sue, anything to finish off on?
I did have something and it's gone out of my mind now.
I hate that when that happens.
First of all, yeah, I do. I remember now. Make time to find out what how your health is. So
yes,
instead of around thinking, oh yeah, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, make the time to stop. Think about, what am I doing now in my life? How would I rate myself living a healthy lifestyle that we've talked about? And then you can start from there to make the changes that you need to. But I think we get too caught up in either looking after everyone else, we forget about ourselves, or we get too busy and we don't actually stop and make the time to just see where am I at now, right this minute.
Yeah, great advice. So what about you?
I'll just add on to that too, Sue, as well. I think also one other thing we do is make it so complicated. We make it so complicated in our mind that we go, oh, this is just too hard. So my advice, 1 week, grab a journal and make note of your day. How do I move today? 0 out of 10. You know, I moved 3. How was your sleep? Woke up every hour. And keep a journal for a week just to see how those elements in your life are impacting your life and your body composition. And the other question, a quick question I have, if you are someone who does jump on the scales every day, what are you doing about it?
Yeah, good question.
Are you just jumping on, and then the next day you're jumping on, then the next day you're jumping on? Or does it have you doing something about it?
Yeah. Look, we've just come off of, I just want to finish up with, you know, I put out a bit of a challenge to our Fit Flexers, and I said, who wants to do a 1 week focus on body fat? You know, I promise it's not going to be hard. It's just going to be simple stuff, blah, blah, blah. So we've had quite a number of ladies. And so, you know, some of those responses and how they've done are coming in this morning. And one of them I've already seen there was a decrease of 2.2% body fat. You know, she's lost centimeters and she's also lost 600 grams in a week. That was just a week of focus, and it was simple things like working up to drinking more water, being aware of that, being aware of how much I'm moving. And the other thing that has been consistently coming through is having variety in what I'm eating. Because isn't this the truth that we just tend to eat the same thing day in, day out? You know, if you think about dinner, fish and salad, chicken and salad, steak and salad, maybe might be legumes and salad, who knows? But, you know, it's that same variation. But what we want to do is, you know, our body just craves different foods, craves different exercise as well too. You know, it craves us to move. And I just really think if we stick with those basic elements and just really listen to ourselves, then we know what to do. But I think also the one critical thing that's important is to get help, get support. Because, you know, I know myself, if I'm not accountable to someone, you know, I'll just go off the rails. So I have to have someone who's checking in on me. And some days, guess what? I don't like it too much. I don't like, you know, it's like, oh, do I have to do that check-in again this week? Oh, no. But I know that it's out of love and concern for me, and that they want to keep me accountable, and they want to support me, and they want me to be successful, whatever that means to me. Because that's the thing. It's what it means to you. I think that's a great spot to leave it, girls. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us today. Hope you got something out of it. And we'll be back next week with some other topic in the fitness foundations. See you all soon. Bye, ladies.
Bye. Bye.